Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another juicy, scrumptious, delicious episode of the Pleasure Alchemist magazine special interview with somebody who lives the whole ethos around what it is that we're doing here. And I am so delighted today that not only do we have this incredible artist who just seeps creativity from every single pore of her, she's also happens to be one of my dearest friends. And I'm delighted that she has agreed to be the special guest for issue eight. Issue eight, can you believe it, of the Pleasure Alchemist magazine. And today we're going to be exploring everything around the erotic intelligence, the creative intelligence, the sensory intelligence of nature. And this is very relevant because of the kind of art that Rachael produces. So just before I share some info about Rach, I just want to say, obviously, on this video, I'm not going to be putting images on the video, but there will be links below where you see this. Please check out Rachel's work. And at the end of our conversation, Rachel will share where to find her and connect with her and so on as well. So I'm just going to read
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah. So Rachael Codina is an artist and sensory translator. Her large, bold paintings are her response to the felt aliveness of the natural world, a way of listening to plants and trees and translating what she receives into colour, form, and collage. For the past decade, she has been the lead business developer for a successful American artist and now provides business coaching to other artists. Too many artists lose their creative flow due to admin and uncertainty. Rachael cuts through that, teaching simple, practical skills that turn a passion into a sustainable living. Rachael has a deep love of travel and an even deeper love of animals. And she combines the two by pet sitting her way around the world, trading a fixed address for location freedom, boundless inspiration, and an endless supply of furry companions to hang with. Rachael is also deeply curious about the nature of consciousness, the findings of quantum science, and optimizing human potential. Food, nature, light, and water are her foundations. And after 5 decades of learning to live in tune with natural rhythms, she loves nothing more than sharing what she's discovered about joy, health, and the art of being fully alive. So,
Thank you.
uh,
Lovely.
it's thank you. Welcome. Hi, Rach.
Hi. So excited to be here and thank you so much for inviting me. This is just perfect topic for me and I'm just so honored that out of all the amazing creative people that you know that you chose me. Thank you so
Well,
much.
it's an absolute pleasure. So let's begin with why you create the artwork that you do. So just obviously, like I say, we haven't got you don't have any of your artwork, I don't think, around. Didn't really think about that. Um, Maybe just describing your art and what it is that you do and maybe why. Because I think ever
Mhm.
since I've known you, I've got one of Rachel's pictures, one of her early works, probably about 20 years ago, which I absolutely adore and love. It's absolutely beautiful. It's always hung up in my living room. So there's something about the themes and the way that you create that's always been a familiar. Yeah. So I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah, and actually, I do have a work in progress that's I can grab and just share. But yeah, it's not finished. I think that's what that's like the famous words of most artists. It's not finished. But yeah, how did I get started? I guess I first started to dabble in art at uni. So my major was in journalism, and we got to pick a minor. And I just always loved art, and I never considered I was an artist or very good or whatever, but um, enjoy art and loved looking at art and got inspired by art. So yeah, I took a class at uni and it was mind blowing, and it really, yeah, it really kind of nurtured the artist within me that had been hidden all these years. So she popped out, and so it's kind of just been a journey from there, really, my early 20s. Um, and yeah, I was always kind of crafty, as a child as well. So yeah, I didn't actually start calling myself an artist until more recently. Perhaps, maybe almost a decade, maybe 8 years or so, 7 years ago, maybe.
Really?
Yeah. I just always thought I was kind of a hobbyist,
Okay.
just dabbling. Um, and yeah, but I think really for me, the purpose of my art was purely for me. I wasn't necessarily making it to share with the world, and it's really become a really foundational kind of meditation for me throughout my life. It calms my nervous system and anxiety, depression, some of the challenges that we face in the world today that are just ridiculous and just impossible to process, in any kind of logical way. So my art for me became kind of an outlet, kind of a release of that kind of built up sludge, if you
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. No, I hear that. It's making me think of the Picasso quote, as they say something like art washes away the dust of everyday life.
Hmm.
Something like that. It's
Yeah.
popped into my head. And also
Uh-huh.
I've just remembered now because that's a long time ago, but we were both art therapists. You were an
Uh-huh.
art
Right.
psychotherapist.
Oh
So
gosh, yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's like easy to forget, isn't it? All these
Yeah,
different chapters in
that
our
feels like
life.
another lifetime ago. Yeah.
Totally. But
Uh-huh.
that passion for and understanding of the healing aspect of art sounds like it's always been something that's really
Yeah, yeah. I worked primarily with nonverbal people, people with autism or learning difficulties, and it was just such a beautiful process to be involved in to kind of help these people have a voice, a visual language that they could use, and because they've so often been overlooked and marginalized, ignored, or spoken on behalf of, and never properly listened to or communicated with directly. So um, just it was a really beautiful time of my life where I got to help others express themselves, and then it became more of a process for me to learn how to express myself. It was just as important for me as my life went on. So yeah, really another part of the journey there.
yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when you remember these things and it's like, oh God,
Hmm.
yes, I've done that. That's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
me. It's still part of me, even if that's not what I'm, focusing on now. And let's talk about nature because it's not just that your art is very much, I mean, we touched upon this artist. You're an artist of sensory translation,
Mhm.
which is just divine. I'd like to know what that means a bit more. But it's not just that your art is always very nature inspired, nature infused, connected and dances with, but also, and in knowing you so well as well, the connection you have with nature, it is your, I know, it's so vital, isn't it, for
It
you?
really is, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I love yeah, rambling, I guess, in nature as often as possible. I spent the past 25 years in America, so I got to explore a lot of incredible nature and mountains and forests, and now I'm back in the UK currently, and I live in a really beautiful little patch of countryside near a canal and a little woodland and a stream. And it's just so idyllic, and it just feels like I'm in like Darling Buds of May or something. It's just like so unreal. Um, so yeah, so that's where I go to ground and to just, as I said before, just release any kind of stress. I typically like to start my day, just get up and just head out, get outside, no matter, rain or shine, just get outside and absorb the sights and sounds and smells of nature, and will often take a little sketchbook with me.
Mm.
And yeah, I tend to gravitate a lot towards trees or yeah, weird plants, that have got like weird formations and patterns, and they're just kind of sprouting. They kind of just seem like they're just suspended in the air, because they're just on these little thin stalks, and it's just, it's just wondrous and magical just to see how what nature does, how it thrives and grows, and so yeah, I try and capture that in some way, or well, kind of. I've kind of discovered it's really almost impossible to capture, nature in that sense, because it's just so perfect and yeah, just so yeah, intelligent. So what I'm now focusing on is more capturing my response to the nature. So it's kind of like
Nice.
this communication where I'm like, oh, wow, hello, plant. And it's kind of just like, got on my radar somehow. It's just leapt out at me, or it's kind of got some kind of buzz to it, or it's just the way the light is falling on it, or there's some giant tree that's just like, um, yeah, I'm really feeling its presence as a I guess as a sentient being.
Mm.
So yeah, I kind of just wander, and whatever draws me in, I'll go a bit closer. I'll kind of smell and listen and just kind of enjoy yeah, just being in communion with the nature.
Oh
And
my
then I'll
goodness,
get
I love
out
it.
my sketchbook and just kind of make some marks, in response to what it's stirring up for me. So that's kind of interesting what comes out of that. So I could be looking at the tree and studying the tree, but if you were passing by on the path and looking over my shoulder, you're not going to see a tree.
Okay.
You're gonna see some like some movements and marks and just shapes and just
Mm.
kind of yeah, not the tree itself, but kind of that space in between me and the tree.
Oh my good. You know what? That's erotic. Even you
It,
just
isn't
hearing you say
it?
that is like, ooh,
Mm-mm.
lovely
Oh
and
yeah.
luscious.
Uh-huh.
And
We make love.
yeah, I mean, there's a whole like, gosh, there's a whole kind of thread we can go down around that. People talk about, don't they, communing with nature.
Hmm.
That's basically what you are pretty much describing here. And I love this sense of you're very clear about you're not trying to get down the exact what it looks like, which is a very different way of approaching nature as inspiration, I suppose, for artists. And certainly there are artists out there, amazing artists out there, I guess, that
Yeah.
what they are attempting to do, and that's
Hmm.
maybe what they do beautifully well. But for you, that's not important, is what I'm guessing. It's
No,
more the
I'd take a
meaning,
photo.
the response, that point of aliveness, what it stirs in you.
Hmm.
Um, that's what you're aiming to get down. And your art
Totally.
is very reflective of that because it's pretty, I would say it's pretty abstract. Is that correct way
Yeah,
of
yeah,
using it?
uh-huh.
Um, but there's certainly this feeling of that wildness, that sensuality, those forms, those marks, those shapes that you're talking about. You also use pretty much always, you'd use different media, don't you? When you're creating your images, and you're very fond of using collage. You always have
Hmm.
real
Yeah.
collage. What's why collage? What does that bring for you?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I guess I love creating textures, and you know, um textures and little hints of imagery, kind of threaded throughout, just hiding beneath the paint, maybe a little bit. So it's kind of hinting at something, a layer beneath the layer, so there's kind of like different layerings. Um, I also love it as a traveling artist. I travel a lot. I pet sit and travel around, and so I have a very small art kit that I
Okay.
take with me, and usually it's just whatever I'm finding. If I'm finding some magazine images or bits of paper or things in nature, then that's a great way to kind of put together create some art on the go kind of thing. So it's kind of just evolved from that really. And I
Yeah.
love tearing paper, like rough edges. So it has that kind of rustic, unfinished wildness to it. Um, and I remember seeing, and I can't remember the name, but I think a couple of artists have done it. But I've seen some artists playing around with burning the paper, which is something I'd really love to experiment with at some point. But yeah, just yeah, loving the textures.
Yeah, texture. That's the sense to me. There's that it has a visceral
Hmm.
element to it that you do want to touch, which
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of art is very much don't touch. You can't
Uh-huh.
touch this. Where there's
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you're inviting people to come and touch your pictures, but there's a desire for that, and that touching, I suppose, when you're out in nature, is that part of your process as well? Will you go and, I don't know, touch that tree or feel the petal or have your hands on that ground or,
Absolutely.
yeah, again, that
Yeah,
communing.
yeah, yeah. So I think yeah, so going back to like the eroticism of this way of making art, and so I think for me it's eroticism is this raw, naked aliveness that we tap into. And um it's right there in nature happening all the time, all this growth and lot just creativity happening all the time. So um, yeah, so I think we are part of that. As you said, we're not separate from that, and we have been a little bit removed from that. We've been cut off. We have very indoor lives. We're always on our screens. We wear thick um, rubber soles on our shoes, and so we're not actually touching the earth as much as we used to. Um, so I am a barefoot hippie. Whatever you think about that, it's just so vitally important to kick those shoes off and go and like tread in the dirt and the grass or the sand and it scientifically it releases trapped electricity from the body. So it's just so healing and healthy just to put your feet on the ground just a few minutes each day. Just go walk around your lawn or whatever. So yeah, I do love to yeah kind of smell the flowers and walk on the grass. And for me, there's definitely I get some kind of like buzz from the plants. It's kind of
Like a turn on in a way.
oh yeah, oh yeah, I guess it
If you think about
is.
turn on,
Uh-huh.
like all these words, isn't it? Like Ross, I love how you describe that because absolutely for me, it is that aliveness, it's presence, it's a fullness.
Hmm.
It's a satiation. It's very little in a way to do with what we think of when we think of Eros. And the same with turn on as well. I often
Mhm.
say about how do we live a turned on life. And for me, that's
Mhm.
simply the switch is on. We are charged. We
Absolutely.
have this sense of something is moving. We can feel the energy moving in us. And sometimes, and it's interesting with nature, and you were talking about like, the growth of nature and all of this. Sometimes what we're turned on to when we're really connected is not necessarily growth. It could be the decay of things or the loss of something,
Hmm.
the sourness of something. I think about kind of fruits, the something being tread on, or hasn't survived the latest storm, and
Uh-huh.
um, the decaying of life is also, if we're able to be present to it, there's a
Yeah.
turn on to that as well.
Hmm.
Um, And I think nature is very good, isn't it? Obviously, always so good at reminding us of these are all aspects of being, a living thing.
Hmm.
Something living has both all these beautiful bits and the stuff that we want, but it also has all these quite vicious and furious
Yeah. Yeah.
and um,
Dangerous sometimes.
dangerous. And
Yeah.
also, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like uncut, quite cruel sometimes ways to show us as well of life is. And I think
Yeah.
that is something more we can be with that aspect of our eroticism. I think it deepens some wisdom, it maybe deepens some resilience, some understanding of how we stay with when maybe the storms are moving through and what feels like it's being destroyed is,
Hmm. Hmm.
is actually preparing us for the next thing that might come from that. That's a big part, isn't it, of
Yeah, yeah, it
nature.
sounds like, yeah, the whole life cycles, the seasons, there's the blossoming and the creation and the blooming, and then there's the decay and the death. And yeah, I see it all, when I'm out because I'm outside a lot, so I see all the seasons and it stirs something in me. Sometimes there's a sadness, like, oh no, I'm not ready, and like there's kind of a grasping,
Mm,
like, no, don't go. And it's kind of like,
mm.
reflecting in me sensations of loss or losing a loved one or letting something go. So yeah, you kind of get to witness and be a part of that. Or for me,
Very
yeah,
intimate. It's
I
an
tap
intimate.
into
It
that.
sounds like a very intimate
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah,
And the
yeah, it really
translating of
is.
that,
Mhm.
for others to
Mhm.
see or for you to kind of,
Yeah.
I do that with words mainly.
Mhm.
It's that similar way. I want to touch upon something as well that you've mentioned around this how we're so cut off, and how we live
Mhm.
and this it's almost like there's a suddenly we're living in a world where we rather than being fed by this sensory erotic sometimes creative sometimes destructive experience of nature, these days we're being fed, and those of you that are maybe just listening to this, I'm using air quotes here, by stimulation of things instead. So we have this sensory life versus this stimulated life. And there's a
Mhm.
difference, isn't there? Like,
Yeah. Mhm.
don't know if there's anything you want to share on that or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like our ancestors lived, or tribal cultures have lived much closer in rhythm with nature. And um, it was kind of the Victorians that came along and started to try and tame it and contain it and manicure their lawns and, have everything in order. And we're not meant to live like that. And so I think, my art in that sense is a bit of a rebellion. It's kind of
Mm,
like, no, I refuse to be hemmed in.
mm,
And I want to be free and I want to, I want to maintain um, that, gosh, connection. I'm looking for another word here, but it's almost like, it's almost familial, it's like the
Mm,
earth is my mother and the trees are my grandfathers and it's like I want to stay connected to my wild natural family and be fed by that and it's
mm.
reciprocal, nature needs us and we need nature and um
Nature need us.
it can be
Mm.
argued, definitely. I definitely believe nature would be totally fine without us.
Yeah.
And I think the planet would be better off without us as well, definitely for sure. But what I mean in the sense of not maybe not nature needs us, but nature likes us. Nature likes our company. Nature likes to be reflected back to by us. I'm getting super woo
Really?
now, super,
No, I think it's so beautiful.
but
Isn't that what artists do all the time?
yeah,
We are
yeah,
mirrors for, it's
mhm,
making me think about love poems and poets that captured the essence of, or try to. It's a reflection
the
back of
felt sense, yeah,
felt sense, or it's making me think of Rothko,
mhm,
who I adore Rothko's work and
yeah, mhm,
seeing it live. I remember going to see it live in I think it was the Tate, a long, long time ago. They had a room and they called it the chapel, and it made me cry. It was
yeah, yeah,
powerful, but in a way that I couldn't necessarily put into words. And I know for him, I mean, I think he committed suicide, and he was trying to capture something that God placed that somehow
mhm,
I think he
yeah,
never quite get there.
yeah,
Maybe
mhm,
we can't because
mhm,
we just can't do that. And that's something maybe with nature, like we can't, yes, we can capture it in the ways that we see it, deforestation, the manicuring, the way that we kind of gut it in that sense, like a
uh-huh,
prisoner, but to capture it even with a great photograph or a piece of art, we can't. It's
no.
uncapturable. It's a little bit like
And
God,
it's
then, isn't it?
continuously moving and changing and so you can capture a brief moment, a second, but then it's gone. So I
Like
love,
life.
yeah, which is, yeah,
Life.
yeah,
Then
it
it's the
really
next
is.
moment. Then it's the next moment.
Next,
Then it's the
yeah,
next moment. And
totally.
oof, I love all of that. That's
Uh-huh.
really beautiful. And what do you think? I mean, you think you've touched upon this, but this okay, it's making me also actually staying with what we're talking about a little bit more because my mind's now going blah, 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 blah. I think one of the things that's really important about nature and why obviously it's such a good thing to be out in that, everyone kind of knows that, it's good for your health, even if it's 10 minutes or look at the sun or put your feet on the ground, but it's slow, isn't it? It's slow and it goes against this hyper speeding world that we live in, even more so in the world that we live now of how much things speed up.
Yeah.
And that now includes our attention span. I'm a movie buff. I mean,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
thinking in my horror films, and I'm always reading about movies and productions and aspects of storytelling. All of that fascinates me. And what's begun to happen recently, maybe in the last year, this appalls me. But it's an actual thing now where movies are purposely being made. And I'm talking more about, those more mainstream movies
Uh-huh.
or like your Netflix movies or whatever. They're purposely being written so that storylines are repeated very obviously because people's attention is often they're watching while they're on the phone and they miss stuff. So they're
Oh
now
gosh.
purposely
Uh-huh.
adding in the same information, like really making that point for you. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, I mean, we've had for decades the Hollywood formula, haven't we? The Hollywood blockbuster. I mean, you've seen one, you've seen them all pretty much. Um,
The
but
fact that they're
yeah.
repeating information because now they're pandering to, I can't remember, it's got a name where it's like you're going to be on another screen while you're watching that screen, if you're watching
Oh,
something at
oh
home.
my gosh, it
Yeah.
sounds awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So rather than like actually, you're going to have to pay attention to this film and put your phone down. If you miss it, you miss the point and the clues or
Crazy.
whatever. It's like, no, 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 we'll pander to the fact that they've got another screen. I'm guilty of that. I will scroll and, if I'm watching something that's not. But I'm interested, I've been more aware of not doing that
Uh-huh.
recently while I've been watching stuff and noticing.
Well, we just saw a horror film recently and I
Oh,
was
this.
gripped. I definitely could not scroll.
It does help
But
when you're in the cinema as well.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the
but
cinema
it's
experience is so beautiful. Yeah, just
yeah, that was
big
fun, wasn't it?
screen. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so many creative yeah, movie producers now that are just
love
yeah,
it.
just
And
create
and it feels
incredible.
like they're coming from the wild. Interesting, we're talking about this because a lot of these, like the film that we saw, and other films that are coming out and have been out last years, particularly, I think for me in the genre of horror, which I adore, it's like it's having a renaissance,
Yeah.
incredibly so right now. So just blown away by how many amazing horror films there are. They're coming from, if you like, the wilds. They're coming up from being putting stuff out on YouTube for an audience, and then people are being, they're being noticed. So suddenly they're almost like coming from the weeds of the film industry rather than
Uh-huh.
through film festivals, doing it the proper way,
Right.
festivals,
Yeah.
whatever. They're coming out through the
And the
cracks
ground.
in the
Yeah.
concrete
Uh-huh.
in a way and producing really alive, really proper experiences that are super engaging. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
the most horrific, horror films that really I
I
can't do the
love
blood and gore
I
ones.
love how we're talking about horror films.
I
Yes, I
know.
managed to get that into the conversation.
I can't. It's all part of it. But yeah, the ones that really freak me out the most are the ones that are really good at distorting nature. Like things are twisted or there's like a time irregularity that doesn't make sense or yeah,
That
something
biological level,
moves
like
in a different
like
yeah.
things like Last of Us, that was a great series, wasn't it? Because
I
for me, I mean, I think you
loved
know
it.
this, those of you that don't know this, my one phobia in the world is mold and kind of mushrooms that grow in places. It literally freaks me out. And I can eat mushrooms. I like mushrooms when they're like there on my food. I really like them. But out in nature, it just gives me
Oh
it
wow.
just gives me shivers. So for me, there's this horror. I used to think that mushrooms are going to take over the world, and that's not nice. Interestingly, I'm actually writing an eco horror
Ooh,
book
yes.
right now. Everybody will watch
Hmm.
the space. God knows when that will be there, but because that fascinates me.
Hmm.
Because again, I think nature also, and this connects to the horror conversation, it transmutes and transforms. And just like in kind of body horror films, which I adore, and how the body changes, which I talked a lot about, particularly in the last issue, actually, we looked at uh, yeah, anyway, body horror has come up before. I think it's issue 5 or issue 6 of that uncontrollable or something out of our control
Yeah.
starts to happen, which is our bodies anyway, which is life.
Hmm.
Even however much the industry out there is trying to prevent,
Right.
in the ways that it is, usually kind of very surface levels of preventing this sense that aging and decay is happening and all of that, but it's happening in our bodies. It's
Hmm.
uncontrollable. We know we're going to die. We know that all of these things start to happen, that changes in our
Uh-huh.
body. And it's the same, that's what nature reminds of us. So it can be a beautiful reminder because it can
Hmm.
really help and give us relief and support us when we need that, when stuff's going on, like you said before. And it can also, I think, be horrifying in the truth of what it,
Hmm.
like you say, mirrors back to us as well, around the inevitabilities, really.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's the whole gamut in, I can go on like a 30-minute walk and you just see it all, all laid out. And yeah, and actually just a couple of days ago, I witnessed a bird that had died, like a road, a car had hit it. So there's all this blood and yeah, quite a gruesome death. And
Yeah.
um, I saw a hedgehog all bloated and floating in the canal. What else have I seen? I don't know. I've seen horrible things. Yeah, just dead animals and yeah, plants that have been chopped down prematurely or, tree limbs that have cracked. And so, nature's this, oh, it's beautiful, it's so pretty, but there's
Mm,
also this darker side
mm,
that we relate to because that could be us, we could die, at any moment or
yeah,
so
yeah. And
yeah,
I wonder how much the resurgence, like I say, this renaissance of really amazing horror that's rising up the last few years is because of we're so disconnected, because we're so deprived and overstimulated with things that don't feed us properly, that don't really linger and nourish and
yeah,
as
yeah.
remind us of who we are, that there's this, horror, it gives us, and I'm always fascinated by the psychology of horror, it gives us a similar it makes us feel alive. It makes us feel what we touched upon earlier of this kind of eroticism of life. It gets the heart pumping. It can make
Uh-huh.
us feel sweaty. It can make everything come on board.
Hmm.
It's like I think like we'd go on roller coasters, or if you're an adrenaline junkie, there's something about I'm needing that aliveness that maybe from what you do as an artist and what you love, actually just being out in nature and noticing. Because there's something about you have to pay attention, don't you? And paying
Hmm.
attention takes time in nature. You have to watch and notice and,
Hmm.
like you say, use the senses to listen,
Right, right.
experience and feel and
Hmm. Yeah, I think
slower.
yeah, art, all kinds of art, films, movies, poetry. I think all of, the juiciness of being creative human beings, that comes out of this desire to reflect back what we're experiencing, what we're witnessing, and wanting to record it in some way or to share our experience with other humans because we don't exist independently. We're
Sensational.
like an like an one organism in a way. Um, so yeah, it's kind
Hmm.
of yeah, just I think as well we reflect the times that we're living in, so art today is very different to, Victorian art or, medieval art. So we definitely capture an essence of the time in what we're doing. So that's kind of yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I could speak to you all day and maybe you'll come back another time and we can talk about something else. I absolutely loved this conversation and so much food for thought. I usually end with a particular question, but I feel like everything we've spoken about is this question. So I'll ask you this, but maybe not
Oh,
give the obvious answer. And then there's another couple of questions actually I want to ask you.
okay.
And for the viewer, and the person, those of you that are listening to this. So the question I always ask people is when you're feeling kind of disconnected or flat, how do you return back to what do you do to connect back to aliveness? My sense is I'll go out for a walk or whatever. Anything else that's not nature, actually, that might be surprising. What else
Ah,
kind of makes you feel alive?
yeah. Not nature.
I
Um,
know, I'm sorry, even
oh
though
gosh.
that's probably
Well,
the number one
well,
answer.
I mean, art, so I think, yeah, it's about suspending time in a way or switching off. We're always in a rush or we're always busy or we've got to do something or we've got to be somewhere. So I think it's just giving
Mm,
myself permission. No, I'm just going to clear everything off, off my calendar for this morning or this afternoon and just kind of immerse myself in creating, using the hands and
mm,
selecting the colors and the materials. And so I think that is, a really great way to just be absorbed in the present moment.
love
So
it. I love that answer.
anything, yeah, anything that brings you back to your present moment, your senses. So it's different for different people. It could be, I know, for some people, it could be like taking their dog on a walk or I know, knitting, or I don't know whatever it is that maybe knitting wasn't a great example, but
Yeah, I was just now
uh,
thinking of knitting a
yeah,
dog going forward.
yeah, whatever makes you feel most alive,
Yeah.
whatever brings you
Using your hands, like
yeah.
bringing that kind of
And
body
yeah, and actually
aspect into it.
made me think of something that I do when I'm coaching other artists who might feel a bit stuck or they're a bit flat or they've lost their creative juices a little bit. I'll ask them to go create their bliss list. So
Oh, what's the
if
bliss list?
any of you watching this would
Yes,
like,
I want to know.
okay. So yeah, so basically it's a list of all the things that light you up, yeah, that make you feel fully alive, erotic, orgasmic,
Hmm.
whatever, whatever brings juice into your life. Yeah, so many things, fun things,
Jesus.
challenging things, scary things, go and give yourself
Hmm.
a month. Please, please, please do not do this in a week. If you're doing it in a week, you're kind of missing the point. But give yourself, 2 or 3 weeks, a month, contain it within a month of writing, take a little notebook with you
I love that.
and jot and come up with 100 things that light you up. And yeah, I'm sure you're thinking, oh yeah, that's easy. I love this and this and that. And I've done it a few times. I'll try and do it like once a year, just to see how things have changed. And um, I always start off, oh yeah, this is easy. And the first 20 just flow. And then like the next, 10 or 20, I slow down a little bit. And then, I start to get a bit stumped. I'm like, oh, what else? And so you have to really dig deeper, dig deep, and
Love
really
this.
connect into, so not just the oh, I should be liking this and I should, and my mission in life is this and that. It's like, no, like what do you really really love? What lights you up? Not other people or what people expecting of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
kind of really going there.
I'm going to do that.
And it's really fun. And then
Yeah,
there's like another piece to it. Um, so once you have your 100 things, then you can kind of go through the list and kind of group things together because there'll be a few overlaps. There'll be some things that are kind
food.
of similar. Food, yeah. Um, and then you'll hopefully come up with, four or five, areas of your life or four or five things that then become your guiding compass in your
Love
life.
it.
Mhm.
I love this.
And whenever you're
Writing this down.
lost, just go back, dip into that list and see what excites you the most, and then go do that thing.
I love it. And actually, you've answered my second question because I was going to ask you if you had any creative rituals that maybe you use with
Ah,
clients. So nice one. And then my last question for you is, oh, I was going to do that one question. Let me just see if, I'll just go with this, just as a kind of
mhm.
bring it down a little bit. Not bringing it down, that sounds terrible, isn't it? Favorite, maybe three, either favorite artists or movie or piece of writing or music that for you really encompasses the what's important to you and what we've been talking about this conversation and how
Mhm.
you view your art,
Yeah.
nature, and everything. Is there anything that comes to mind or anyone that comes to mind?
Yeah, I guess I have been quite inspired by artist Lewis Noble. He's an English artist located in the Peak District, and he's got some really cool videos on YouTube where he goes wandering in the Peak District with his sketchbook and everything, and he does exactly what I've been talking about. He responds to nature and he tears up his paper and he makes
Mm.
big marks and anyway, so he's definitely inspired me. And I did a workshop with him a couple years ago, which was just incredible, really and really juicy. So yeah, check him out. And then um, I do keep thinking of the poet who I love, Mary Oliver.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, classic. But yeah, she just describes being wholly present and 100% sensorily immersed in nature just so well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just beautiful poetry. Um, and then yeah,
One
about
more.
music. Yeah, I listen to a lot of music. Yeah, I'm gonna go with music for mushrooms.
Oh no, it's a horror film.
Look at that. Yeah, oh gosh, is that really what yeah, well, yeah, so there's a musician, his music's called East Forest, and there's a lot more artists doing this now. They're kind of hooking up electrodes to plants and trees and
Oh
things,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
recording the sounds of the that the plant makes and then translating it into music and or
So cool.
visuals. And so we could spend a whole other discussion on that. But that's really fascinating. So
Oh well, love
yeah,
it.
he's doing
Great. Thank you so much. So this has been an absolute joy. And I mean, I can really feel this part of me. And especially again, Rachel sent me loads of pictures, which will be in the magazine. So please come and subscribe. It's less than 2 coffees a month. Pleasure Alchemist magazine. This one is all about this eroticism of nature, the beauty that we find, looking at different artists, ecology and desire, and so much more. And then
very
lots of
rich,
beautiful
beautiful.
tips and
Mm.
practices for you to really connect with those things as well. It is a beautiful magazine. It's I call it Vogue meets the artist's way,
Ooh,
for the
yeah,
Pleasure Alchemist.
awesome.
So there'll be loads of Rachel's artwork in the magazine, and I just was thinking I'd love to do a workshop with you. I'd love for you to take me
Mm.
out into nature and go
Yeah,
through the process with you. So, so much so. I'm just
I'd
putting that
love to do
there.
that.
I'm just saying. But before that is necessarily on the table, though we're going to watch this space, where can people connect with you? And I'll obviously put all this information down below for those of you that are listening.
Okay. All right, yeah. So remarkably, I actually don't have a website at the moment. Work in progress. Um, but you can see a lot of my images on my Instagram page, which is at the Creative Edge Coach. And that's also my handle on Substack, where I've got quite a lot of writing and musings on some of these topics. So again, that's also at the Creative Edge Coach.
Put
Uh,
that info
yeah.
down below. Rachel, it's been an absolute joy. I feel so inspired from our conversation. And
Um,
yeah, thank you so, so much, darling. And keep creating. I'm sure you will do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody. Let us know below what you thought of this conversation. Do share it with people, hit the like button, all the things that help to support myself, the magazine, the Pleasure Alchemist, and also this extraordinary artist, Rachel Codina, who has been our guest today. And I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.